Quote number 3 this week. This one comes from a much better investor than the last quote, and that's because it's from Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett has many great quotes. In fact, I think maybe my next great quotes, whenever we do it some months hence, Volume 3, I think I'm going to go all Buffett all the time for that one because I have lots of great Buffett quotes. And I have to confess, I'm not even a big Warren Buffett disciple. As I've mentioned before, for those of you who know me over the long term, I've actually never read a full book about Buffett. I've seen stuff from him. I've seen him speak. I admire him a lot. I've read some of his annual reports, but I've really never taken in the man. So I'm not a big Buffett disciple, even though I deeply admire him, and I'm very much looking forward to my all Buffett all the time Great Quotes, Volume 3. So consider this one just a preview. And it's his 3 I's. So maybe you know this one. I can't call it a direct quote because it's more a summary of his thinking. And I'm pulling this particular passage from a Harvard Business Review, which is looking at Buffett. So this is the 3 I's of every business cycle. The 3 I's of every business cycle. First, come the innovators who see opportunities that others don't. Then, second, come the imitators who copy what the innovators have done. And then, finally, third, come the idiots whose avarice undoes the very innovations they are trying to use to get rich. Again, quoting Buffett not perfectly, but spiritually perfectly, and what a great and powerful thought this is. So on October 14th of 2015 last year, I did What is the Hype Cycle? That for that week's podcast, you can go back and listen to it. And it really summarizes Gartner's framework of how things get hyped. And it's not always bad, by the way. Hype doesn't need to be a completely negatively connoted word. But for the most part, what you're seeing from Buffett here is the hype cycle in miniature. And that is, we lead with the innovators. I call these the rule breakers. These are the visionaries. They're the ones, we've talked a lot about this from week to week. These are the companies that are admired because they're driven by people with a vision. And as Buffett, in the quote I just read you, says, they see opportunities that others don't. Second, and this happens all the time in business, come the imitators. We were told throughout our school days, don't look over and look at Johnny's or Sally's paper. That's cheating. You can't do that. You need to do your own work. And a lot of us, raised on that pure ideal, emerge from college, at least I did, and quickly get grossed out by the simple, sheer amount of copying going on in the business world. Everyone's looking at Johnny's paper. Everyone's looking at Sally's paper, especially if Johnny or Sally is a visionary and trying or doing something new. Some people will kind of poo-poo it and say, we're not even going to go that direction. Johnny or Sally's crazy. But increasing numbers of people, especially these days, are more open to innovation and tend to just see whatever's working and try that on their website too. The amount of copying and pasting, the amount of big data driving the same kinds of decisions across different groups of people, there is just a ton of, in some cases we could call it collaboration, in other cases we can call it just sheer copycatting that's happening all the time in the business world. And by the way, that can either work or not. There's no guarantee when you copy that it'll actually work, but if you found a best practice and it starts to work for you too, maybe indeed not just you, but others are being leveled up in video game terms by that innovator who came out first and did it, and the rest of us are just copying. So thus much for the cycle. Things feel pretty good. It's when the, in Buffett's words, idiots show up that things get problematic. Usually at that point, you've got drcoop.com. You know, it's also going to be on the internet back in the .com days, providing health advice. There are lots of questionable rinky-dink companies that show up coming after, note please, coming after the imitators that at this point, a lot of the good venture capital is already gone, but everyone's doing it. It feels great. And so whether it's the internet boom of the late 1990s or maybe 3D printing stocks in the last few years, Internet of Things, these are all important trends. But at a certain point, what can happen, go back and listen to the Hype Cycle podcast again, is it becomes not the smart money bet to keep copying. Valuations are too high. There's not enough capital out. And as will usually happen, as Gartner has taught us, these technologies will disappoint in the near term. The expectations are so inflated around them at even early stages of them that it becomes impossible for them to deliver on that, and then everything kind of caves in, and we can look back and realize who truly was the innovator, who was the imitator, and in Buffett's line, who were the idiots. So I think this is a really fun and good quote, and I really like that Warren put it out there. I hope that's a good and useful framework for you with maybe a healthy dose of little cynicism thrown in.
As always, people on this program may have interest in the stocks they talk about, and the Motley Fool may have formal recommendations for or against. So don't buy or sell stocks based solely on what you hear. Learn more about rule breaker investing at rbi.fool.com.